Cerberus syndrome is a problem that has been showing up in stories, comics, and more for decades. Everyone is familiar with the trends of people retelling stories with a darker, edgier tone, and are familiar with how much that can suck the life out of a story and how often it ruins what was once enjoyable and entertaining and turns it into yet another grimdark angst fest with nothing to offer but depression and feeble attempts at shock horror. But what about stories that didn't start out that way at all? Stories that aren't remakes or retellings, but were clearly designed with a different audience in mind. I'm not talking about stories that use cute characters combined with horrible events and violence for shock and humor like Happy Tree Friends or the strangeness that is the Fluffy community, which seems to be loosely based on My Little Pony, but with a lot of violence packed into it. I'm talking about stories, animations, and comics that started out with humor and something cute clearly being the focus. Something simple, often slice-of-life comedies or just random little animations about funny things happening, that suddenly feel the need to inject a dark backstory or something else into it that completely changes the feel of it, and by doing so often lose the original audience because it's just no longer what they enjoyed. For example, I used to watch these cute little animations about a dog named Chicken Nugget. While some of the baby talk names and all kind of annoyed me, for the most part they were just cute, funny, and often encouraging little animations about cute little animals doing silly things. For a long time, that's what they stayed. Until a character that didn't quite fit the aesthetic of the others showed up. One with a much more human body and a clock for a face. They started hinting at a darker story, and that Chicken Nugget was in fact some sort of unknowing eldritch being who was influencing his friends and their lives without realizing it and could end up destroying the world. I just completely lost interest, and apparently wasn't the only one, going by how the creator panicked and made posts about how the story wasn't intended to become dark and angsty, so don't worry, it's not all going to be like that, even if that's clearly what it's headed towards. Come back! Don't cancel your Patreon subscription, come back! This isn't new either. A long time ago, when webcomics were much more individual and weren't mostly kept to 3 sites that are now full of AI anime garbage, there were a lot of slice-of-life comics. One that I followed for a long time I can't even remember the name of anymore, but I remember the main character's girlfriend was named Allie, and I think he worked at a comic book store. It was mostly a simple humor comic about everyday awkwardness and dealing with random inconveniences or messing up your phrasing when talking to someone you think is cute, that kind of thing. However, after a couple years, it turned into a straight-up soap opera complete with brain tumors, evil twins, I am your father moments, and just a bunch of nonsense that would have made me want to throw the remote at the TV in frustration of how stupid everyone is being and how contrived it all is if it was a TV show. But as it was just a webcomic, I just stopped reading it because it became so insufferably stupid and cliche. The same thing has happened to countless stories, TV shows, comics, and more. Someone takes a story that was once happy and lighthearted and tries to turn it into something dark. Way too many people believe that a story doesn't have meaning unless it goes into dark places, which obviously isn't true. A story doesn't have to be dark and scary to have importance or to say something that matters. Dark stories can be great, sure, but not every story has to be dark to be great. If a story starts out as light and happy and then the audience it attracts are there because they enjoy it the way it is. If you take a story that is lighthearted and suddenly drop in existential horror and make it dark and gritty, you might keep some of the original audience who also enjoy that kind of thing, but you're going to lose a big portion of them. You may find a new audience, sure, but after having already demonstrated that you'll completely abandon the style and feel of your work for something else because you feel like it, chances are they just won't have the same loyalty and will get bored and move on to something else in no time at all. You've already told your audience you're happy to trick them into paying attention by dangling one thing in front of them, and switching it out for something else you hope they'll like. Basically, what you've done is opened a pastry shop, spent a long time selling sweets and cupcakes and things that attracts a certain audience, and built up a following for that. And then one day, without any warning, you just start handing out broccoli and steamed cauliflower instead, without a cupcake or a donut in sight, and tell people that's what they're getting from now on, and acting surprised when people who came in to buy sweets just turn around and leave. It's not that they're some kind of anti-vegetable Philistines who just don't get your vision. It's that you promised them one thing and are now trying to sell them something completely different. I'm sure they buy broccoli and carrots and things all the time, but not from here. That's not why they came here. They came here because they wanted something sweet, and you had given them that before. And now you're changing it up without any real warning or reason? That's not how you keep an audience. Everyone has a story they want to tell, and there's nothing wrong with changing your mind or starting out with one idea and shifting to another. The problem is, if you completely change the genre over what you're doing, you're going to alienate the audience who came because they liked what you originally offered them. When people want something cute and fun, that's what they've been getting, only for you to yank that out from under them and give them something completely different. It feels like a trick. It feels dishonest, and it's likely to lose a lot of the people who came because they liked what was there before. I don't know why so many people feel like if you've got something important to say, the only way you can say it is with something dark and gritty and angsty. A story can matter without having to be scary or dark or sad. Sometimes it's the ones that are light and airy that touch people the most, and that bring a much needed sense of relief or a laugh into the lives of people who desperately need it. You don't even need to have something big to say. Just making something fun is worth it. You don't have to have a statement or a story even. Just something light and enjoyable is perfect if that's what you want to make. Don't feel like you have to have something big to say to have the right to speak at all. Thank you all for joining me. I know this one's a little short. I've been crazy busy this week. Where I've been volunteering would really like to hire me on as an actual staff member, and to do so they want me to write a budget proposal, which is not a thing I've ever done before, so I'm doing a lot of research and trying to find the best way to present things, along with a lot of other work I've been doing for them. I'm really hoping that this can lead to a permanent position, or at least get my foot in the door with the industry so I can move up and finally get stable footing. I hope this new year is much kinder than the past year was for us all. Be safe, stay warm, and I'll see you in the next one.